And now, from Candlestick Point in San Francisco, California, it's the Stick Niner Empire Podcast Show with your hosts, Iron Mike Arango, Lucas Ortiz, and Lucas McLaughlin. Go Niners!
All right, the resilience of you guys, unbelievable, man. All right, that's why we're sitting here, NFC West champions, man. We got to give up to our quarterback, man.
Hey, division champs, bro. This does not come around often, man. Here we go. Niners on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey!
Welcome to another edition of the Stick Niner Empire Podcast. I'm your host, Luke McLaughlin. I'm here with Lucas Ortiz. And Mike Arango has a case of, we don't know yet, but he's not feeling well, and he's going to be on assignment today. Lucas, so we are now at NFC West champions. And
yes, we are.
Pretty damn definitive, if you ask me. What a game. What a way. It seemed like it was basically over in the third quarter.
Yeah, the score of the game doesn't necessarily feel how that game went, right? Like, it just seemed like we had a much bigger lead. I think that pick six that was taken away by the questionable Nick Bosa roughing the passer call kind of made the game a little closer than it should have been. But, hey, you know what? We went into Seattle. We got to win, which isn't necessarily something that we do often. Of course, 2019 being the most memorable one when we clinched the NFC West in Seattle on the last play of the game, Dre Greenlaw. So it was nice. Brock Purdy was not, he was unfazed. He went into the Seattle crowd cold, loud. Although I did see a lot of red in the crowd, and I heard from some people that were there that it was probably the most 49er fans they've seen a Seattle 49ers game in a long time. So
because they were hoping and knowing that they were going to clinch the NFC West, I guess, right? I mean, that's a huge part of it.
That and a lot of Seattle fans, I think, maybe making a little Christmas money selling their tickets to 49er fans.
Yeah,
pretty much dominated them in all phases, and Brock Purdy continues to impress. Just a couple of offensive notes. Kittle, huge game on only 5 targets, 4 catches for, I think, 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. And how about that play? My favorite play of that game.
That fake right, fake left, and go up the middle to Kittle for the touchdown. That was beautiful.
I think it's called the Hollywood play, where you fake one way, fake the other way, and then screw up everybody and throw it right down the middle where nobody is. It was a pretty wide open pass, so I think most quarterbacks make that. I was more impressed with a lot of the plays where guys weren't open right away, and he was able to scramble either outside or buy some time in the pocket and hit some open receivers. Yeah, like he's just getting better. He's really starting to be very comfortable and look like a veteran quarterback each game out. Like, I'm anxious to see how he plays against the Commanders. They're probably going to be one of the better defenses that we played so far. So I want to pump the brakes a little bit. Like, we haven't really necessarily played the greatest of defenses to this point in Brock Purdy's short stint, but the Commanders will be the true test. They have a legit defensive line, defensive backfield. They got some pretty okay linebackers from what I've seen.
Jimmy who? Purdy finishes that game with 17 of 26 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, Brock Purdy's only an ankle roll away from Jimmy being the quarterback in the playoffs again. So,
And then Trey Lance on the trading block.
Yeah. Trey who? So
one more offensive note. McCaffrey again. Big game, 108 yards rushing, another 30 receiving. This is a huge clutch situation, and we have depth, and we have next man up, and having him still there and healthy, and hopefully he carries us all the way through.
Amazing. So speaking of depth, it's troubling that Kyle doesn't play Jordan Mason a little more. I mean, it was nice to see Mason get some carries at the end when we're up and putting the game away. I think some of the players on the team kind of jokingly call him Mariano Rivera, the closer, because he seems to kind of come in the fourth quarter, and when the team needs that, that one or two first downs to kind of ice the game at the end, like he's the guy you go to. So I like to see him especially with that gaudy yards per carry, right? Like I think it's something in those better teams. The last thing we want to do is get him hurt or overload him or overwork him and go into the playoffs without a healthy Christian McCaffrey. So Jordan Mason, I think this next game, I said that the game before, but I really mean it this, start mixing it in a little bit more with Christian.
I hope so too. And in turning to the discussion of how well the defense is played, I heard Peacock talking about how he thinks this could be the best defense the Niners have ever had, which I disagree, but they are a great team, and that's how you win games.
Of course, you're talking about Brian Peacock of Locked On 49ers and listen to him every day. So Dante Whitner, legendary strong safety from the 2011, 2012 great defenses of his own right. He said not only were they better than that team, they were better than the 89, 88, and the 84 team. The reason being is the way defense was officiated back then.
Mike Arango was on assignment, but we've got him here alive and well. He doesn't have COVID, and he's still alive. Mike, are you with us there on the line?
Happy to be alive, and yes, I am. How you guys doing today?
Nice. Pretty good, man. So Lucas isn't here right now, but I thought we'd get you into this show, so I'll just kind of combine that with what we did last night. And one of the things we discussed was Lucas seems to think that this defense, and a lot of people, including Brian Peacock on Locked On, are thinking that this might be one of the best defenses of the 49ers ever in history. Now, remember real quick that there used to be no salary cap, and we bought ourselves quite a defense back in the day. What's your take on this?
You know what? As great as this defense is, in my humble opinion, it's not the best. But I see where Dante Whitner is coming from also. The NFL today is much more of a passing game. And because of this, all the rules and regulations, as all three of us know, they're made to help the receivers and they're made to help the quarterbacks. So the game, in some ways, is a lot harder for the defense today. I believe nowadays, because of the salary cap, it's harder to sustain and keep a great defense going due to the fact that, you have restrictions on how long you keep players. Players are looking for money, such and such. With that said, I'll be honest with you. Our best player, there's no doubt that Nick Bosa is the best defensive player on this team. There's no doubt that, his trajectory, he's projecting towards the Hall of Fame type player. Again, you got to play many, many more years, than what he's done. But he is a Hall of Fame talent. And, if he, God forbid, as long as he stays healthy, he's going that way. But what I want to say about that is there's nobody on this team, and that includes Nick Bosa, that is as great as the great Ronnie Lott. We don't have Ronnie Lott, when he retired, was like a top 4 football player ever. Okay. You're talking about a guy who might have been the second or third best defensive player ever, the greatest safety ever.
And if you want to talk about the way things have changed, they don't let people hit people the way Ronnie Lott did back in the day. You know what I mean? Now you can't do that anymore.
If Ronnie Lott was allowed to do that in today's NFL, you'd see more injuries also.
Yeah.
Because the guy he would put his entire body. He wasn't necessarily the biggest player. Most of his career, he played anywhere between 190 and mostly around 205, 210 pounds. He actually wasn't as big as people think.
He just played with his heart. It was really good.
Dude, and watch him tackle. He puts his entire body into it. He does everything fundamental. He explodes from the bottom up, pulls your legs under you, puts those shoulders. His shoulder pads were quite massive, though.
Yeah.
That's why he looks like such a big guy. But, man, that guy used to make collisions on the field. There's no one on the team that was as groundbreaking today as Ronnie Lott was back then. He, again, and for people thinking that he's not a top 5 player ever when he retired, think about this. He's the only player to be going to the Pro Bowl in all 3 defensive positions: cornerback, strong safety, free safety. The guy was an absolute maniac on the field, and he would enforce things, and you had to gameplay design him. You had to set your gameplay around him.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit similar to how you would with Lawrence Taylor. Like I said, when those two retired, those are the two the best defensive players ever in my book.
It's
So
interesting.
I don't think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think this defense is good as the old one, but they do have a little bit of a harder routine in a way.
Yeah. Time will tell.
Together,
It depends. We're right in the middle of this thing. If we go right through and they lead us on to the Super Bowl, defense wins games. And, it's interesting what you said about Ronnie Lott, because growing up, I had season tickets to a Candlestick. We had really good seats, thanks to my dad. And, my brother and I used to get the binoculars and just watch Ronnie Lott because he was so fun to watch. And one day we were both watching him, and he knocked this guy so hard. I think they were playing the Vikings. He hit him so hard that he gets up and ran to the wrong sidelines. Now he's standing on the wrong sidelines, probably obviously with a concussion. And dudes had to tell him, like, hey, man, you're on that side.
Oh, wow. No, I never heard of that story.
Then he ran across the field. And we told my dad, he's like, really? Yeah, it was awesome.
Nuts.
You could hit a guy past 5 yards. You can chuck a wide receiver, 20 yards past the line of scrimmage, send a message, be physical, get hands on him. Like, that wasn't called back then. It was so much easier to play defense back when Dante Whitner was even playing, and especially back in the 80s when guys like Ronnie Lott, Dwight Hicks, and the Hot Licks, Eric Wright were paroling the defensive backfield. So those guys had an advantage. You could be a little slower and be more physical. Today's NFL, guys have to be physical and fast and be able to stick with, fast, quick, lock it. Defense has been able to do that. Like, I've seen Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw have to pick up wide receivers and hold more than hold their own. A lot of times they're getting pass deflections, near interceptions like Greenlaw had in the game, and they're way better athletes than the athletes that preceded them in the 80s and the 90s. So that's why I think that they are a better defense than even the ones that we remember as a child. It's kind of like nostalgic memories. You want to fantasize the teams that you grew up watching when you were a kid as being like the greatest and almighty, and nothing will overcome them. That is the case with Michael Jordan being the greatest basketball player of all time, as much as I love Steph Curry. But
as much as I love LeBron, or actually I don't love LeBron, but
you don't love LeBron. Yeah,
he had, Jordan played with more finesse. But hey, back to the defense here. I think one thing that's very important to note is that we may have had a better defense early on when we were kids, with the likes of Charles Haley, Dana McLemore, Keena Turner, Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright.
Well, let's do this real quick.
One important note is that we did not have the salary cap issues that we have now. So to think that we have as good of a defense as we have right now and had to deal with the salary cap, that alone, like, we bought an incredible defense back in the day when they didn't have the salary cap, and we still pay some of those guys.
Okay, between Eric Wright and Dwight Hicks, who starts over Charvarius Ward right now? That guy just shut down DK Metcalf.
I know.
DK Metcalf,
Eric Wright is
having an amazing year.
Corner.
He's been having big games all season long. That guy's playing out of his mind. He may not make the Pro Bowl this year, but he should. He needs to get a lot more. There needs to be a lot more noise pumping his drums and getting that guy into whatever Pro Bowl games. I know they don't really play the game anymore, but he needs to get that notoriety. I think he needs to get the vote.
Defense wins games, and I mean, look at what's happening out there. We've got they're definitely keeping our offense on the field. And we have the best pass rush. That Bosa alone is he's probably the best pass rusher that we've ever had, even, compared to maybe Fred Dean. Who else would you compare Bosa to?
Charles Haley. Yeah.
And Haley was amazing because he could also stop the run. But, man, Bosa he's just phenomenal. We're so lucky to have him.
Brock Purdy almost threw an interception, and that would have been big, but, their team dropped it. Quandre Diggs had his hand on the ball and dropped the potential interception. And on the other hand, we were able to punch it out and get the recovery fortuitously right before the half. So Dre Greenlaw, huge game. He's not – I still don't think he's the player that Fred Warner is, but he's making more tackles. And so in our brains, it's like, wow, this guy is, he's all over the place. He's better. But Fred Warner, I still think is our number one guy, just in terms of he can cover almost every position from the linebacker side, including wide receiver. He may not get the tackle numbers that Dre Greenlaw does, but he's ever much as good, and a lot of responsibility is placed on him. But Dre Greenlaw is my guy.
Nice.
Who do you got?
So in this particular game, I'm going to go with Warner because Warner actually did have, I think he had 8 tackles and 6 solo. Greenlaw had 8 tackles and 4 solo. I mean, they're both
forced fumble. And the forced fumble.
That's right.
And the pass defense. Actually, he had 2 pass defenses in this game.
I just like that he's such a leader out there. I mean, Greenlaw is having an unbelievable season, and you could pick him every week. But Warner, I think in this game, he really wanted to seal the deal and win the West, and he made sure that happened. And he's just such a good leader out there. I think they all look at him and look up to him, and he sets a great example. And so that's my guy, Warner. And now I just got a text from Mike on his deathbed. No, I'm kidding. He's sick, but he's going with Lenore. And he says that he actually led the team with tackles, with 10 tackles and 9 solo tackles.
Yeah, and a pick 6 that was negated by the bullshit penalty on Bosa. I'm actually still mad about that. Like, is that weird? Like, we won the game, we won the NFC.
You're still upset?
Yeah, we're the number 3 seed. We're no less than the number 3 seed. And I'm just thinking, like, damn, we should have won 28-3, and Lenore should have had that pick 6. Like, that still just kind of irks me.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor kid. That would have been nice on his resume. But yeah, he definitely had a stellar game. He's kind of grown up in front of our eyes. Like, I was a little worried when Mosley went down, and is it going to be maybe Womack? He stepped up. He got, he may have been a little shaky in those first 2 games when he started. A lot more aggressive, as shown in that play where he jumped the route and got the pick, took it back. The guy's just his confidence is just, it's gleaming. Like, you can see, like, he's very sure of himself, and he's not panicking like he used to when the ball used to go in his direction.
Definitely. He seems very seasoned right now, and he's playing at the top of his game, which is exactly what the doctor ordered so that we could be the NFC champions. And another, shifting back to the offense.
We did around the horn, and I got a mysterious text from you, just like I did with Lucas, and you took Lenore because he led the team in tackles against Seattle.
Oh, as far as the last game, Lenore had a wonderful game. He really is such a bright spot on this team right now. He's getting better and better every single week. There's not enough people used to pick on him, and I think people do pick on him once in a while. They're still trying when you could go deep on him once in a while, but I'll tell you what, it's becoming few and far between.
Yeah,
he's starting to deflect passes, make plays, be at the right position. He's not blowing coverages the way he did early on in his career. He's probably our biggest turnaround player, I would say.
Yeah, and especially the fact that, like Lucas brought up, the fact that Mosley went out, right? And Lenore he's stepped up and actually he's playing just as well as Mosley. I mean, Mosley was having a great season before he went down, but this kid is he's really stepped it up this season, and we haven't had any issues. He's not giving up a bunch of touchdowns, and they're not picking on him because he's playing really well.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's get down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz.
Great game by the offensive line. So we gave it to Christian a lot. I think it was 26 carries for about 100 plus yards. So it wasn't there wasn't, except for the Jordan Mason game, the Jordan Mason carry at the end of the game where he almost scored a 50-yard touchdown. Yeah. There weren't a lot of big runs, but it was, 5 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards. We were opening up holes for Christian, and the offensive line really. I've never seen a game this year so far where the quarterback just felt so comfortable. I mean, there were some games where Jimmy had a lot of time out there, and I think one or two of the games that Brock's played so far, like he just seemed, to have plenty of time. But this game is just, I mean, he could go back there 5-step, 7-step drop, and he had time. Like he was finding guys open. And maybe it wasn't the first read, it was the second or third. But kudos to the team kudos to the offensive line for allowing him to get so much time and run the offense. Like Brock looked completely at ease back there. Mike McGlinchey, he's found it. Whatever he's doing, he needs to just keep replicating it and take that into the playoffs. Never really have to worry about Trent Williams. I mean, that guy, everything he does is on point. Like he's the best of the best right now. Like there's not an offensive lineman out there that's as complete of a offensive tackle as he is. He's been opening up holes for the offense all year long. This game was no different. I think except for maybe a penalty on him, probably played a perfect game. And the guys in the middle, Brendel at center, Burford and Aaron Banks, they're all just, they look like seasoned veterans, even though they're first and second year guys. They had an outstanding game. When we needed to get some first downs at the end of the game to ice it, they allowed us to do that. We ran the clock out with 6 minutes to go, and just completely took Seattle out of any possible mindset of coming back on us. Even though they were only a touchdown away, an extra point. I think we lost. And
as you mentioned, we had a lot of Niner fans in the house, but they did well with the noise too. I mean, it did get loud. And it always does in Seattle. So,
yeah, one false start, that's it. And I think that, like I said, that was on Trent Williams. But love what I saw at the offensive line. A+ game. If you can go to Seattle and get up by 21 and just completely silence that crowd by halftime, or awesome. Beginning of the third quarter, I guess, is when we scored that third touchdown. Hell of a win. That's something that happens regularly. Anytime you have a Pete Carroll coach team, you expect the game to be tight, expect weird things to happen. If you do win, it's always going to be a tight, close game at the finish. And, that's exactly what happened here. We felt like we dominated, but in the end, it was only a one-score game.
I let everyone know out there that I know that Damon Bruce was supposed to be on the show yesterday and for this show. But there was some scheduling conflicts, and he will be on after the first of the year. And we're going to the postseason for sure, so we got plenty of time, and we'll pick the best spot for him to be on. And I know Mike Arango will have some great questions for him.
Awesome. Well, glad to be on the show, guys. You guys have a great weekend, and let's get to it, man. As always, go Niners.
All right, man. Drive safe. Go Niners. Later, Mike.
Go Niners.
So I think that I want to see Ray McLeod get a little more involved. I mean, he's got the talent. It's just they don't give him that many chances. And now I hope they don't let the foot off the gas pedal because we won the West. We have still have some things to accomplish and get some home playoff games. So I'd like to see Kittle have a big first half. McLeod actually get a score in this game and maybe 5 catches. Of course, McCaffrey over 100 yards, which you're right. It's going to be a little bit tougher than playing Seattle because Seattle, they're a little rough around the edges right now,
right.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball. So let's hope that we keep healthy. And we've got the Raiders.
Oh, that's right, New Year's.
And then
New Year's Day Raiders.
Yeah, New Year's Day Raiders game, and then we've got Arizona.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call that the hangover game. I think it's 1:00 Las Vegas time. So, yeah, let's get
thanks to all of our viewers. We've been really picking up some traction with the viewing, and we need more subscribers. Please like and subscribe. And if anybody, a quick announcement, Damon Bruce, we had some scheduling conflicts, but he will be on the show in January, and we'll let you know what that date is. Thank you for joining us here on the Stick Niner Empire podcast. For Mike Arango, I'm Lucas McLaughlin here with Lucas Ortiz. And yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side, and hopefully we'll keep rolling, man. Is that 7 in a row?
7 in a row.
Wow.
Going on
That's
8.
awesome.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.